Kawhi Leonard finally gets shipped, but not to the Los Angeles Lakers, no, but to the Toronto Raptors. What is going on, y'all? 5 Sports Talk back at it with another video talking, of course, some NBA, and here to talk about the Kawhi Leonard trade. So I know I'm a little late on this, but like I said, better late than never. So let's get right into it about this trade with the Spurs finally dealing their disgruntled franchise star. Who do I think won this trade? Who do I think lost this trade? And ultimately, why I think either team made this trade, okay? So let's get right into it. So the official trade is, of course, Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green going to the Toronto Raptors for DeMar DeRozan and Jakob, okay? There's also a protected first-round pick going to the Spurs, which is protected 1 through 20th. And I believe after that, it turns into a second-round pick, okay? So that is the full details of the trade. So right off the bat, let's talk about this from the Toronto Raptors side of things. And let me just start off by saying, boy, did the Raptors do DeMar DeRozan dirty. I mean, my God. They told this man just last week or a few weeks ago that they were not going to trade him at the Summer League. They told him that. And now, fast forward to now, and they trade him. This is a cold-blooded business, folks. And honestly, I feel for the players. I feel for a guy like DeMar DeRozan, even though I'm not one of his biggest fans. I do think that DeMar DeRozan meant a lot to that city, spent a lot of time in Toronto, one of the few stars in this league that actually wanted to stay in Toronto long term, and that's how you treat him. That's how you treat a guy like that. I mean, just brutal, folks, okay? And that's why you had a lot of NBA players come out on social media today and talk about how pissed off they were at the Raptors, like IT, guys like Paul George. So it totally made sense, folks. And players should not expect to be loyal. Now, a lot of people keep throwing Kevin Durant's name in here. Look, folks, Kevin Durant's situation also can apply here in the sense that nobody had an issue with him leaving OKC. It was the fact that he went to Golden State. That's it. Nothing else, okay? He could have gone to Boston, Washington. It wouldn't have mattered. He went to Golden State. That was the issue. So that's number one right off the bat is the fact that Toronto did DeMar DeRozan dirty. I was just not a big fan of that, and I don't think they needed to do that, okay? Then let's get to the next thing is LeBron James finally leaves the conference, and now you decide to rebuild. You fired your coach, you trade away your franchise player, all after LeBron James, who was the biggest impediment in your path, leaves the conference, goes to the West, and now you want to do all that. I'm not saying I disagree with their moves in terms of what they're trying to do right now, but the timing is really suspect here because you would think now, out of any other time, would be the perfect time to actually go with this roster and to see if he can actually do something. But most people do think this roster has peaked and that they have a certain ceiling that is capped, and the Celtics and the Sixers are certainly better. But it does make you question why exactly they would want to do it now after LeBron James leaves the conference. So just interesting thing to think about right now. Let's get into why they possibly traded for Kawhi Leonard. My belief is that Toronto has already committed to rebuilding, okay? Like I said, they have already decided they are going to build this roster from ground up. Toronto GM Masai Ujiri is realizing that the ceiling was capped with this roster, but what Kawhi Leonard allows them to do is Kawhi Leonard allows them to do like a Hail Mary type of last second. Let's see if we can possibly win with this type of roster. Again, one more time, last-ditch effort. That's what Kawhi Leonard allows them to do, because to me, in my heart of hearts, I don't even think Toronto thinks Kawhi Leonard is going to stay, okay? Because there was reports that Kawhi Leonard was not going to be happy with any team besides the Lakers or possibly the Clippers, and the Raptors still traded for Kawhi Leonard, which means they know that there was a strong chance that Kawhi Leonard's not going to be happy even with them trading for him, and there's a strong chance he might not still stay with the team, but they still did it, so they should be, what does that tell me? They should be okay with losing Kawhi Leonard. And so him being that one-year rental, they will see, okay, look, we'll get Kawhi. We didn't give up any of our young pieces like OG. We didn't give up anybody like Pascal Siakam, like guys like this, Fred VanVleet. So our young core is still there. Kawhi leaves next year. Let's say, you know, he comes on our team. He leaves next year and he does, in fact, walk. we can still rebuild from the ground up because all of these guys will be expiring. We get out of DeMar DeRozan's 3-year contract. We're good off there, and let's start fresh, okay? And here's the other thing. Let's say we find out by, Thanksgiving that Kawhi Leonard is going to ditch our team. Let's trade him by the trade deadline, flip him to the Lakers or the Clippers for their young players and draft picks. Let's see what we can get, okay? So this is what I think ultimately Toronto is trying to do here. A lot of it is not even just in terms of basketball on the court. It might just be off the court because they have already decided they're going to rebuild. Because here's the thing. For me to expect Kawhi Leonard to be 100% healthy, 100% bought in, and for the Raptors to, be like 1,000% committed on him, and it goes both ways with Kawhi Leonard, it's hard for me to believe all of those things are going to happen, and the fit's going to be there, and they're going to gel perfectly, and they're going to be better than the Celtics or the Sixers. I could potentially see the Raptors being better than the Sixers, though I still think the Celtics are better if they are fully healthy, but it is going to be a three-man race with Toronto, Boston, and Philadelphia in the Eastern Conference for sure. So that is from the Raptor side of things. So do I think they won this trade? I don't think they won the trade in a home run type of thing, but I see the risk reward here. They definitely took a higher risk, so they have a potential for a higher reward, but they also have a potential for this completely flaming out and then losing Kawhi Leonard for nothing. It all depends on that. Now let's talk about this trade from the Spurs side of things, who acquired DeMar DeRozan and of course Jakob Poetl. Now I like Jakob Poetl. He's a nice solid young big man, and certainly was a nice throw in this trade for the Spurs. But obviously in terms of what their plan is for the future, I'm not a big fan of this trade, because obviously this trade was made for the present. Now if you were to say, did they get the best possible player from all of these other trades? Right now, yeah, DeMar DeRozan's better than a Jaylen Brown that they would have gotten right now, better than a Brandon Ingram that they would have gotten right now. But if we're talking about the long term, obviously not. The pick also has heavy protections on it, so the deal itself is not that great in terms of the assets that the Spurs got back in return. What this trade tells me basically is two things, okay? What the Spurs wanted to accomplish. One, Greg Popovich is pretty much done in 2020 with coaching. I believe he's got 2 more years left, I believe, as a coach, and he wants to just compete. He does not want to rebuild. Just give him a decent roster. He'll be fine. He's won 5 rings. I don't think he's that hungry to have another championship roster. He'd love it, but he knows what the realistic thing is with the Warriors in town, okay? With the Warriors in the Western Conference. And number 2 is he wanted to stick it to Kawhi Leonard, and boy did he ever stick it to Kawhi Leonard by deporting him out the damn country, okay? Took him out of the damn United States and sent him to Toronto. And so when you take a look at that, and you take a look at those things, this was more about making a statement against Kawhi than what it was to get back for the Spurs. So ultimately, like I said, will this do anything for the Spurs in the conference? No, I think they'll be, a borderline playoff team, if that. And in terms of their outlook, down the line, I don't think it's great. But obviously, this is what the Spurs were looking at. So overall, I do think the Raptors won this trade in terms of their risk-reward ratio, which is obviously a lot higher, but they do have the potential to flame out, okay? Spurs took a very, I would say, less risky approach, a very solid approach in terms of there was really no ceiling for them. They're DeMar DeRozan, LaMarcus Aldridge, that core with Rudy Gay, they're going to take like 50 mid-range jumpers a game, okay, folks? They're going backwards if you look at where basketball is going. So, honestly, like I said, from the Spurs side of things, a very, very safe, boring type of return, if you will. So, overall, do think the Raptors won this trade. But Greg Popovich got what he wanted. He stuck it at Kawhi Leonard. Let's see what happens now if Kawhi Leonard does, in fact, get traded again to the Lakers, possibly, or Clippers, or do the Lakers get him in free agency, or does Toronto convince him to stay? Because a lot of people are saying, Paul George stayed in OKC. Could he stay in Toronto? And look, there's still obviously a chance of that happening, but I do not think it is the same situation. I think it is 2 completely different things. The only thing I know is Kawhi Leonard wants to be in LA, and that's it. And there's not an MVP type of player in Toronto like there was in OKC with Russell Westbrook. So this is a completely different situation. A lot of people are taking that scenario and saying there's a chance Kawhi Leonard could stay in Toronto, and certainly there could be, but I am not willing to bet on that. So let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below if you guys agree or disagree. Make sure to subscribe. As always, thanks for watching.